Hello, Max here, and my meticulously planned week has gone completely out the window. Thanks, Blizzard. Talk about first world problems, holy shit, the patch currently on the PTR is absolutely bonkers. Let's forget about the fact there's a new hero for a moment. There are huge changes coming that will probably shake up all aspects of the meta. And by all aspects, I mean damage dealers, supports, and tanks. Okay, maybe not a huge shake up to DPS, but the change to McCree is needed to make him an attractive pick again. Oh yeah, and there's a new bloody hero. So much change in one patch is incredible. We knew there were D.Va and Zenyatta changes and a new hero coming soon, but I naively expected this to all roll out in stages. It all hitting at once means we're going to have a big learning phase of Overwatch again, which for me personally is very exciting. I love the experimental phase of an online game. Everyone tries new ideas and it will be a really interesting time before the meta settles back down. Enough of my uncontainable excitement, let's get into these changes. Remember, this is all currently on the public test realm, so could be subject to change. You have been warned. First, I'm going to quickly blast through the small stuff before getting into the balance changes. I'll look at Anna in a separate video, as this one has honestly run a little long. Numerical values can now be entered for any option that has a slider, and mouse sensitivity can be adjusted to 2 decimal places. This is great news for anyone trying to perfectly match their Overwatch mouse sensitivity with their other games to keep that muscle memory consistent. Mid-match tips can now be toggled on or off. This controls the tips that appear after you die. Some players are finding it infuriating to be told what they should have done better after they die. This didn't really bother me. Most of the heroes have built-in automatic BM, and if you can deal with that, surely a little note about staying away from McCree's flashbang isn't going to push you over the edge? Is it?
Easy, easy, easy.
Social notifications can now be toggled on or off. As a content creator, this is useful so you guys don't have to see the stupid shit my friends whisper me while I'm recording footage. 21:9 aspect ratio support, hurrah for all you ultra-wide monitor users out there. Okay, now onto the big stuff. Players can now enable a real-world clock by toggling the display system clock setting. Employers around the world rejoice. No more half-asleep employees that couldn't work out their bedtime because there was no in-game clock and they were up until 3 AM with no other way to tell the time. Alright, now into the genuinely big stuff, the balance changes. Overtime has been tweaked. If a match goes into overtime for more than 20 seconds, the fuse will start to burn down more quickly. And players now respawn more slowly during overtime, an increase of 2 seconds. This is good news and hopefully will go a long way towards making overtime less frustrating. The biggest problem with overtime was the cheese tactics of rolling out multiple D.Vas or tracers to keep the clock rolling. However, they have now also implemented single hero limit in competitive play. Jeff Kaplan took to the forums to explain the reason behind changing something that has been an incredibly controversial topic. Teams were able to cheese the first point on assault and hybrid maps before the defending team could swap heroes to counter, and of course the D.Va tracer problem I already mentioned. I'm happy they've implemented hero limits. This is in competitive only, so you're still able to have fun in quick play with crazy team comps, but I think hero limits actually keep the game more interesting in a competitive environment. When everyone is trying everything they can to win, it's easy to end up in the position of, well, hero X is better, so we'll just use 2 or 3 of them. Building a team with hero limits is more creative despite having less options. I know a lot of players said if Blizzard balanced the game properly this wouldn't happen, but that is an incredibly difficult and maybe even impossible task. A single Winston is a powerful but balanced hero. Coordinated double Winstons working together targeting the same enemy is monstrous. Together they do 100 damage when they leap onto someone, and then they do over 100 damage per second with their unaimed Tesla cannon. What do? Nerf Winston? Well then, individual Winston becomes a weak hero. Hero limits in competitive is a good thing. To those of you who are mad because you're worried you can't pick your main in a game because someone else has already picked them, this game probably wasn't for you even without hero limits. Main a role, not a hero. Switching is often essential to winning. Self-healing abilities now charge ultimates. As a result, some hero ultimate costs have been adjusted. Those changed are Bastion, Lucio and Soldier, who have all seen a 10% cost increase to their ult, and Roadhog, who has been smashed with a 45% cost increase. Hog's greater increase is because he really does a hell of a lot more self-healing than any of these other heroes. I like this change and it will likely result in slightly faster ult charging for these heroes, but it's the change for Roadhog I like the best. Roadhog has always had this huge disadvantage of being a big fat jiggly ultimate battery for the enemy team. Now at least Roadhog also gains ult charge from being hit as long as he heals it up himself. A 45% increase in cost is pretty huge, so we'll have to wait and see how it pans out for the Hog, but at least he now gains something for tanking damage. Reaper has not seen any change to his ult cost, but is gaining about 4% charge from each soul globe consumed. This might be an unintentional oversight, or it could be working as intended. We'll have to wait and see. Now let's get into the hero-specific changes. McCree now maintains full damage at longer distances, but will deal less damage at extreme ranges. They've effectively doubled his range. Previously, McCree's damage would start to fall off at 15 meters, dropping from 70 damage a shot to as low as 35 at anything over 30 meters. Now the damage fall off doesn't start until 30 meters. This is huge and brings McCree's range more in line with 76. In fact, we'll likely start to see McCree replace 76 at higher skill levels where players can consistently hit those McCree headshots. Mercy has received a buff. Yes, you heard me right. This is like DC giving Superman immunity to kryptonite. Mercy is one of the most picked heroes in the game, and they are giving her a buff. Mercy's damage boost has been increased from 30% to 50%, but you can no longer stack the buff with multiple Mercies. I think I've seen double Mercy on a team properly trying to win once. And hero limits come with this patch, so this is just a straight up buff. Scott Mercer, a principal designer on Team 4, said in an interview that a lot of the time Mercy players were taking out their blaster instead of damage boosting because it was more damage. They want the core gameplay of Mercy to be deciding which beam to use, and the blaster should be more for niche situations. Well, this certainly should get more players using the boost over the pistol. McCree can now one-shot 200 health targets with a headshot and a Mercy damage boost, and with the McCree changes, they'll be able to do it at greater range. The cost of Resurrect has been increased by 30%, but using it no longer roots Mercy in place, and it now instantly resets the cooldown of Guardian Angel. This should mean using Resurrect is less of a death sentence for Mercy. This is all good positive changes for Mercy that is going to make her yet more powerful. Increasing the charge time of her ult was something we were expecting because it was charging far too quickly, and I guess it makes the hero more fun to play if she has more of a fighting chance after using it. I'm really hoping the changes to Zenyatta and the new support being added will stop Mercy being essential to every team composition, but these buffs to her kit leave me with a lot of doubts. Zenyatta has gone from Omnic Monk to total badass. Base shields increased by 50, he now has 50 health and 150 shields for a total of 200 HP. This is a buff I don't think anyone will disagree was needed. The poor guy was just too squishy, but this buff really is huge. In the short time I've played him on the PTR, it's clear he now has much more than a fighting chance against flankers if you can land his damage. His Orb of Harmony and Discord have had their travel time increased by 400%, allowing him to get those heals and debuffs up significantly faster, and they've buffed his ultimate. The healing has been increased to 300 health a second, and he now gains double movement speed while Transcendence is active. This will now heal through any damage currently in the game that doesn't one-shot the target, and the movement speed increase fixes a major problem with Zenyatta's playstyle. Zenyatta should be a backline support hero that wants to avoid being close to tanks. However, his ultimate is very much the opposite. It could be most effective to help your team push the objective. The extra movement speed allows Zenyatta to quickly reposition to get that healing where it's needed most. I'm so excited about these changes, and I cannot wait to get this video done and get back to playing on the PTR. Mercy Zenyatta is now a crazy damage boosting combo that can result in a 125% damage increase on a single target. Pharah rockets, Junkrat grenades, Widowmaker shots and Hanzo arrows will all one-shot body shot 200 health targets with that kind of damage amplification. That will require some difficult coordination, but it's going to be a lot of fun trying. And finally we have D.Va's changes. As I said earlier, we'll look at Anna in another video after I've had some more time on her, and I may even go straight into a quick guide if I can get a real feel for her. D.Va is in a bit of a sorry state on the live servers. Pretty much only picked to cheese when defending the final point on assault maps, and her low damage and low survivability made her a pretty useless tank. Her ultimate, although a great zoning tool, really wasn't good enough to make up for her other weaknesses. On the PTR though, that's all changed. Obviously, we're still learning how to play against these heroes since the buffs, but immediate impressions is she is now a complete beast. Defense Matrix has been reworked and is now on the right mouse button, not E, and only has a 1-second cooldown. It has a charge bar similar to Pharah's jetpack that depletes with use. A full bar will last 4 seconds and it takes 10 seconds to fully charge. This is fantastic. You now have so much control over how and when you use it. Protect your team while they pop off a McCree Deadeye or any other big ultimate, and you still have enough charge left to deny an enemy ult. Simply use it to move through a choke and let your team fire at the enemy safely for 4 seconds. You can do all these things without worrying that the ability is going to go on cooldown for a long time and you'll be vulnerable. She's also seen an adjustment to her ultimate. The cost has been reduced by 15%, the fuse on the explosion has been brought from 4 seconds down to 3 seconds, and the explosion no longer damages herself. This makes D.Va's ult much easier to use, and these changes altogether make for a much stronger hero. It's far too soon to start claiming anything about underpowered or overpowered, as we all need to learn how to play with and around these changes, but I suspect D.Va will see a lot of King of the Hill play where her hyper-mobile playstyle will fit in, and possibly a strong pick when attacking on other map types. And that about wraps up this look at PTR patch 1.1.0. I am of course missing a massively important part of the patch, Ana Amari, but I didn't want this video to run forever, and I suspect there will be more than enough interesting things to talk about for her alone. I'm now off to smash out as many games as I can on the PTR so I can bring you guys all the info. Take it easy, and I'll see you soon.